Good afternoon, everybody. In the interest of time, we will make a start. I know people are still entering, but want to give the speakers as much time as possible. So I'm delighted to be introducing the first session, which is It's Not About Being Instagram Perfect. Can playfulness improve well-being and understanding of autism in relationships between social care staff and autistic adults? And I'm delighted to welcome Cristina Imaguire to the stage. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for those who are still here. I know it's been a long 3 days. We are all feeling a little bit like, experiencing sensory overload, information overload, so it's okay for you to stay, move about. We have plenty of room and space, okay? I promise you it's going to be painless and I don't have any graphs, okay? So be happy to hear. My name is Cristina. I am Brazilian, but I'm also British. And I'm autistic. I'm here today to present a project I developed as part of my master's degree at the University of Birmingham in partnership with my organization, the National Autistic Society in England. To explain the topic of my project, I need to tell you a little bit more about the work I do and its context. Yay, context, we like context. Okay. So I work in the social care sector as continuous improvement lead, which means delivering training, mentoring, and the dissemination of autism knowledge, good autism practice, and person-centered approaches amongst all our staff in adult services. So I work with autism practitioners who are frontline support staff, support workers, deputy managers, team leaders. And the autistic people we work with all have different needs, and the support we provide can range from, for example, accessing medical appointments or shopping or cleaning. Unfortunately, due to long-standing issues in the social care sector, such as low wages, high turnover of staff, difficulties with recruitment, increased levels of staff sickness, the role of support worker can be quite demanding, both physically and emotionally. They are expected not only to understand autism, to build positive relationships with autistic people, but also they have to do this complying with the current legislation, their duty of care, and they have to cope with all the stresses of working for a sector in crisis. This can and does affect the quality of life of autistic people who need support. My observations and experiences led me to split practitioners I work with into 3 groups. The first group are the burnout practitioners. These are practitioners who are overwhelmed by stress. They tend to make more mistakes at work. They are very close to going off sick or just resigning. They can't see the point in going on. The second group are the resigned practitioners. These are support staff who can go either way. They can burn out and resign, or they can just carry on doing what they're doing. But they don't find any joy in their jobs anymore. And the third group are the playful practitioners. These are support staff who seem more resilient to stress, despite working in the same environment as the other 2 groups. They have a more positive view on autism. They are involved in fewer incidents than their colleagues, and they can even find some moments of joy and fun in their interactions with autistic people. And now I need to explain what I mean by playfulness. Playfulness can be described as a mindset, a predisposition to engage in play and reframe everyday realities to trigger the recreation of joyful and exciting experiences. It can be a valuable tool to reverse the depersonalization in interactions and increase well-being. Indeed, the literature I consulted on this topic suggests that playful people cope better with stress, they develop successful coping strategies, and therefore have a better quality of life. So curious, I wonder if the differences between the third group and the other 2 could be partially attributed to this more playful approach that the playful practitioners give to their work. So what is the work that I did to find out more about this phenomenon? I developed a small-scale qualitative study. I wanted to capture stories, narratives, representations to critically analyze the meanings given by social care staff to these playful interactions with autistic people. Therefore, I chose a participatory action research methodology called photo voice. I'm really glad to hear that some other people chose that too. Because photo voice is an amazing methodology where you use pictures taken by participants to encourage discussions, reflective thinking, and alternative perspective taking. This to then encourage participants to affect positive changes in their local communities. I recruited 6 participants for my project. Some of them were neurodivergent. And they were involved in different stages of the project, as you can see by the infographic there on the slide. In the first stage, briefing, I explained the project, the aims, the objectives, and we had lots of discussions about photo voice. The second stage, participants chose to take 2 pictures each, so they actually chose that, and they also chose to need at least 2 months to take the pictures for the project. In the meantime, I invited them to connect with each other, joining a Microsoft Teams that I set up for them. So they could ask questions, exchange ideas, and learn more from other photo voice projects. After I received the pictures, I arranged with them some times and dates where we could discuss and analyze the work they did. They wanted to do this all together in one big group. So I set up a series of focus group sessions, and for those who could not be there, I then organized semi-structured interviews. I went away with all the data, I used reflexive thematic analysis, and then the first themes that emerged were discussed with participants. So I sent this all to participants, I received their feedback, and the final results are the ones presented in the next slide, and this is our joint kind of approach to the topic of playfulness in the workplace. The first topic is not about being Instagram perfect. So this is when participants discussed how support workers are imperfect humans after all, surprise, surprise. And they didn't have to be so anxious or even pretend to be perfect practitioners when interacting with autistic people. There was an element of learning together, laughing together, experiencing chaos, joy, and excitement. Participants told me that laughing at yourself can be very, very important to decompress. And learning from mistakes is fine, it's part of the job. And this is really well encapsulated by Regan's picture and quote of when she was learning to roller skate with an autistic person she was supporting. And despite both of us being quite very ADHD and dyspraxic, we did it anyway. And we had such a laugh. And even though we were afraid, we were learning together. The second theme is learning to let go. And this is when participants, after they started to accept their own imperfections, they also started to think about their role and the definition of a support worker. They mentioned more about taking positive risks, about shifting control in their relationships. Okay? And also, they started to let go of many preconceptions they had about autism and autistic people. And this is really well encapsulated by Lucy's picture and quote, from when she was supporting an autistic adult to access a social group. Some people are just relaxing or drinking or socializing or sitting by themselves. It's a very open and free environment. It's everybody on their own terms. The third theme is exploring alternative dimensions to belonging and well-being. Already with a different kind of mindset, participants started to explore different meanings to well-being and realized that their own well-being and what's important to them can be very different to what's important to autistic people they work with. And that's okay too. Debbie had many discussions with autistic persons she supported about well-being, and this can be represented by her picture and her quote. I asked what they could choose as important to their well-being. And this person said Dr. Pepper, walking, sitting down, and having a Dr. Pepper. They are very relaxed then. And it is when they find some of the thoughts and feelings they've got. Finally, the fourth theme is called It's Okay to Be Yourself. This was developed when participants mentioned situations where their personalities and quirks were accepted by autistic people, and how this helped them cope with challenging situations. By being themselves, participants also engage in joyful moments of bonding over common interests. Professional boundaries were redrawn, but not lost. An alternative conceptualization of support emerged, and this can be best described by Georgia's picture and quote from when she was learning to cook with an autistic person she supported. We ate a lot of chocolate together. I feel like being myself when I am working, but at the same time, I feel I belong there, and I feel more connected, real communication. You know what I'm saying? Finally, the conclusions. The results of my small-scale study indicate that respectful playfulness enabled the creation of less hierarchical relational spaces, with more dialogue and learning together at the center of interactions. More expressions of positive understandings of autism. Participants did demonstrate having a more neuroaffirmative approach when speaking about autism and autistic people. There were reinterpretations of the role of a support worker, where support staff negotiated with and discussed with, rather than dictated to autistic people what direction to take in their journey together. And finally, there was this validation that fun is good for our well-being, for all of us. And participants also realized that autistic people deserve to have practitioners who look after themselves, their own well-being, to be at their best when supporting them. Furthermore, participants came up with possible applications for photo voice, which include using pictures to prompt discussions, reflections, and creative thinking in supervisions, team meetings, and even in their direct work with autistic people. So, my research question was whether playfulness can improve well-being and understanding in relationships between social care staff and autistic adults. In a nutshell, yes, it can, but you don't have to believe me. As an evidence, I'll leave you with Regan's picture and quote from when she was supporting an autistic person to rehearse for a musical. It was very unclear who was supporting who, but we could both be very unmasked. Where I work does debunk a lot of autistic stereotypes, like a pair of us are really sarcastic. We are just very, very unstereotypical autism, which is quite funny. Thank you very much. If you want to learn more about the work I do, get in touch.